Welcome to the Not All Love and Light podcast. I'm your host, Romy Moreno, and today we have Paige Elizabeth with us. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Great. Paige is a coach. She is a formal international yoga instructor.
And Ashtanga yoga.
Ashtanga yoga.
Yeah.
Like 4% you made it to like the fourth series or something.
I would say like 1% or less of the international community will make it to fourth and finish it.
It's amazing. And she's an author of one of my favorite books, Leading an Intentional Life. So I'm so happy that you're here today because you've actually made such an impact in my life.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I never know.
So let's talk a little bit about you. Like, what is it that you do? What do you want to share today? You have so many gifts. I look up to you so much.
Well, thank you. Where should we begin? What part of the story should we extract first?
Well, let's start with the yoga because that's how I met you, through the yoga community, even though you have separated from that world. Let's start there since that's where our relationship started.
Yeah, I mean, I began practicing Ashtanga yoga as a teenager, and it was really the thing that I think saved me from becoming a typical teenager and going through the whole party thing, even though I was into clubbing and stuff. But it just was great for self-preservation and discipline, and it was like the thing that my life revolved around, right? It was like the centerpiece of the table. And in Ashtanga, we have different series, so there's this growth. It's like climbing a mountain. And I just was so committed. I loved it. It was just this amazing relationship I had. And then 2017, I completed the fourth series. And at that point, I was, I think, 34, and I just decided, like, this is a little hard on the body. So I knew I didn't want to maintain fourth series because it's a lot of crazy contortion. And I'd seen people, not just from yoga, but like I'm from Vegas, so legit circus trainers and people who were former gymnasts and athletes. And if you can continue to push your body past a certain age, you end up with like needing hip replacements and you end up with bone spurs and just all kinds of crazy stuff. And I was like, I don't want to be that person. And so it was a lot for me to complete the series, but it was kind of like visiting a destination and being like, okay, I visited, but I'm not going to move here. I'm not going to live here. And at that point, I also realized, well, there's no more growth for me in terms of that part of the practice. The inner work always is there, but the asana part was done for me. And it changed me psychologically. So that was like the first part of the shift, and I was in Bali. I was actually at Prem Carlisi's studio, and his wife said to me, she goes, doing fourth and finishing fourth is dangerous because half the people who finish it never come back to the practice. And I ended up being that person.
She wasn't wrong.
She wasn't wrong. Yeah. So 2018, I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I'm just done. Like, I maintained it for another year and I was just done. But it wasn't because anything bad happened. Everyone thinks I got burnt out. Mm-hmm. No, it was the completion of a cycle. And everyone thinks that like I abandoned this thing or had a fallout or got burnt out. Like it was this bad ending. No, it was the completion of a cycle. And that I was okay with that. There was no like grieving or mourning over the fact that like I was done. I was done. And so as a teacher, it was also challenging because people really wanted me to continue to teach, which I did. Actually, my last teaching gig was in Albania in 2020 or 2021. So like I was on the hook for teaching for a minute, but at the same time, when you're not growing, it's hard to lead. Like my process can't be stagnant and then yours be fluid as a result of my influence. Like that, there was definitely a conflict there. And I didn't want to teach people handstands. I could see once I reached the summit, I was like, this is very vacuous. This is dumb. Like, there's no enlightenment that comes with being able to stick your leg behind your back to the extent that I could. Like, you're not more spiritual because of that.
Right.
And coming full circle, you see that because, again, you make it to the top of the summit and you're like, well, the view isn't what I thought it was going to be. It actually wasn't that bad, like in third. Like, it wasn't that bad. You know, now I just paid extra for the penthouse and really it's not a whole lot different. Like, so, and I just have too much integrity and I can't be fake. So for me to show up and try to teach something that I no longer really resonate with was a big conflict for me. And so even though people were still kind of demanding it, it wasn't in my heart anymore.
And I respect you so much for that because there's so many people that continue doing things even though they don't feel aligned with it because of the money, because of the popularity, because of the attention, because of whatever the fuck, you know, they want.
100%. And I literally, like, I remember being like, wow, 16-year-old Paige, this was her dream.
Yeah.
This was her dream to be an international yoga teacher and to have that kind of like notoriety, to like go to another country and show up in a yoga studio and someone from yet another country recognizes me from YouTube. Like, that was cool, you know? But at the same time, like, if it's not feeding my soul, like I can only really sell what I'm invested in. And so, yeah, it was challenging. And again, a lot of people struggled with that. And I get it because you're still invested. So it's like, how can she not be invested?
Right. Which is not really your problem.
Right. No, it's not. And so that was a big deal. And so I just feel like I completed a big cycle. It was a big accomplishment. Now, the internal aspects of the practice, the principles still stay with me. 100%. The unfortunate thing is like 90% of yoga people don't care about the principles. They don't care about the inner work. And if that was the case, I'd probably still be teaching. But they're not interested in that.
Right.
People don't want to self-reflect. They want to project. Like, it's unfortunate that we're such a narcissistic society and everyone wants to just show off the poses they can do, but no one really wants to actually do some of the, like I said, the inner work. So,
and which is honestly to me the most important part of this practice. Right. Because I don't like my asanas, like I weight lift and that's what I do most of the time. I practice yoga maybe twice a week, but it's not like my main thing, regardless of whether I have a studio or not. Right. And there's so much like judgment in this community.
Oh, it's terrible.
And it's just, and that's why I really looked up to you. And I was like, she's so relatable to me. It's the best. And I loved it. But there's people that just, they judge you based on, you know, how deep your back bends are or like how flexible you are. And then, I mean, a gymnast could fucking do the same thing and had never walked into a yoga class. It makes no difference. The work is the inner work, right? Like there's these yoga teachers that are so like anti talking to people and judging them because they're not vegan, right? We're not vegan. But at the end of the day, how is that yoga? You're saying,
I know.
You know, you're not vegan and that goes against ahimsa or whatever, but you're sitting here talking shit. Like, how is that yoga?
No, 100%. And I mean, we're all capable of judgment. It's just, you know, part of the human, you know, makeup. And that's what I talk about in my book, because I got so sick of people being like, I can get to this place where I have no ego. No, as long as you're a human being, you have an ego because it's a tool that we use as a frame of reference to deal with reality. You can't.
You need the ego.
Like, no, you do. The point is to manage the ego instead of the ego managing you. But it's still a very valuable tool. You know, like I am not pure consciousness. I have a body.
Right.
And people don't get that. I'm sorry. And like they want to point to these magical sages from, you know, 5,000 years ago, like they somehow figured it out. I bet you if you actually sat down and talked with that person at that time, you would see they probably had habits that you were like, WTF? Like, wait a minute, what? Like, so, you know, my practice became less about, I did hit this point of like total void where I was like, okay, that didn't work. Like really trying to outrun and outdo everything just to get to an empty space. I'm not sure that I like this. So it became more about embracing the ego with love as opposed to like trying to push it out.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we do with shadow work, right? Like we don't push it away. We learn to love it in order for us to be able to be better. And that's
and people really struggle with that concept because it's not like, even when I was writing the book, my ghostwriter, like she had to interpret the concept to write it in a way that was, applicable to the average person. And she was even having a hard time getting it because we come from this like, well, if I accept it, then like I'm powerless. So I still have to be somewhat in defense rejection mode. No, it's just the opposite. So for example, like if you hate your body and someone calls you ugly, you don't get defensive. You don't get defensive over that because that's you also saying, yes, I reject this as well. You go, yeah, I know that my body's not perfect and I love it anyway. You diffuse and create fluidity again. So there's not this like, war internally, and people think, oh, but if I practice self-love, I won't be motivated. Well, yes and no. What was motivating you before? Right? Were you trying to prove to the world something? Because I can honestly say, here I am. I'm finishing up my Pluto square right now. And it's an interesting transit because it's 7th house, 4th house. And 4th house is family, foundation, history, lineage, everything that like you build on. Like the 4 legs of a table would be 4th house foundation. And I'm watching everything that I've ever created in my entire life just go down the drain. And yet there's a part of me that's like, I totally built all of that to run away from the fear of becoming who I am in this moment. Oh my God. Like, that didn't work.
You did it. You've arrived.
I'm like, oh shit. Like everything that I was trying to get away from to be like, I'm not that. And it's like, life's like, really? And it took everything away that I was identifying with to be like, but honey, not only are you susceptible to, because you're a human, but all those things you were creating were a defense mechanism to the identity you didn't want to have. And here you are, more lost and confused.
In full throttle.
Like, oh my gosh. And so like when people say, I will be less motivated, maybe you will, but were your motivations based on creating a life to say, I'm not that? Because you're so afraid of being the one thing you fear most, right? That trap. And so when we learn to practice self-love, our motivations just change. And it's interesting now because like I still have my business and I'm still working, but I've really scaled back because of like the craziness of the world. And when I moved to Florida, I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, where should I put my focus? But I knew I was tired. Like, I knew I was just psychologically drained from it all because the last decade has just like kicked my ass over and over again. And we can get into why, but like COVID was the final straw for me. I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't fight this battle. And so I decided, I was like, you know what? I worked in nightclubs during the last recession and I did just fine. I did just fine. And so I thought, I know people here, but I don't have a community here. So I thought, I'm going to see if I can get a job working in like a nightclub or a day club just so that I can be social and not have to worry so much about money. And that's what I chose to do for now. And I just work Saturday and Sunday and the money's great and it's nice. It's
something familiar. It's something that
right.
You enjoy too.
But my point is that like my ego really wants to be like, how did we get back here?
Literally.
And I'm like, yeah, but there's nothing that I'm trying to prove anymore.
Right.
If I were trying to prove something, I'd be building based on that. But I finished 4th series. I wrote a book. I traveled the world. Like I have all these things and yet I'm just like, meh. I just want to have security and I want to have peace and be happy. Like okay, what's the easiest way to get that?
Right. And that's where I was going with, like, living your life this way. There's so much peace because you're not trying to like prove anything to anyone, and you're literally doing whatever the fuck you want.
No, it's nice because like I said, at any point, I can always pick up any one of my talents and invest back in them. But when you're so tired, because having a business is not just what you do on the front end, it's all the back end work too.
That's the part that I fucking hate.
I hate it too. And that was the part, like, I have a colleague who's much older than me, and he's kind of my go-to. He's really good at probing and just got good insight. And I just told him, I said, I just don't have the energy to do the business side of my business right now. I mean, people who have still reached out to me, like, I'll entertain them, but I don't have the energy to do the marketing, to do I can't. Like, I just literally can't. And he's like, then don't, because you know that's going to just lead to more burnout.
Yeah. And you're going to be so unhappy.
Right. So, exactly. And I can't, and I can't tell other people. I can't give them that kind of advice. Like, no, you should do it anyway. Well, I just knew in my core that my being was burnt out. And so to have a business that's still viable, but that did not have to worry about all of the parts of it, because I'm like, well, I'm just going to go sell alcohol on the weekends. Great. You know what I mean? Like, and I just get to clock in and clock out.
Right. You don't have to think or deal with people.
And I just love it. I love it. Again, I mean, and there's no part of me that's like, oh my gosh, but now you're working for someone again. I chose to do that.
Yeah, you don't have to.
I chose to do that because I don't want the burden right now. And when my Pluto square completes, maybe that'll shift. But like, I'm in a season of decay. I don't want to plant seeds right now.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because it's not gonna turn into fruit. So I kind of need to let this pass before I make any solid decisions, because if I try right now, they're going to get uprooted anyway. That's where I'm at. And people really struggle with that. But, because they're like, how can you be so uncommitted? How can you be so unplanning? How can you be so, I don't know that I have a choice. Like, this is just the season of my life that I'm in.
Not only that, but you did it for so fucking long that you're just over it. Like, it's just like, why not? Why can't I just do the opposite of what I've been doing for so long and see what the fuck happens now?
Well, and I didn't get any like gold star for doing it the other way, okay? Like, no one gave me a cookie each day and was like, congratulations, like, you're doing it on your own. Like, the only person that really, like, I got to prove that to was myself. And I joke all the time. I'm like, I'm not even a feminist, but like, if you look at my life, you'd think I was. I'm just hyper independent, but I'm not really a feminist. And I had to go through that process of building it just to lose it, because I needed to heal it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I needed to heal that part. I needed to get all the way through the cave to be like, yep, there's nothing here. Let's go, folks.
Turn back.
And that was dumb. Yeah. But I'm glad we know now. We made it to the end. So, and it's not like I didn't make the effort. Oh, I made every effort. And right now I'm just in transition. And again, until this cycle and season kind of wraps up, perfectly content to be where I am, especially with the economy being where it's at. It's like, well,
yeah, you're in the perfect place right now.
People are not going to quit drinking. So they're
probably going to drink more. Who knows? I don't know. It's just crazy times for sure. But I mean, you saw it coming, because one thing that you're so knowledgeable on is astrology, and you could totally like just look at a chart and kind of just see shit about to happen.
Yeah, and no one wanted to like believe it. I mean,
believed you.
All during COVID, I was like, you guys, like, the economy is going to go to shit. Not tomorrow, but like in the next few years. And even people who were more or less like on my team were like, oh no, it's going to be fine. We're going to be saved. And I'm like, why is everyone looking for a savior? Like, when has the human experience ever been so easy? Like, I don't.
Yeah, it was destined to happen though, astrologically too. right?
Well,
this whole destruction was meant to, like, the United States, like, it was meant to collapse the way that it is.
100%. Because again, like I'm just finishing up my 8th Pluto transit. Well, Pluto is the planet that actually works specifically on the shadow. So when Pluto makes its way around to a point on your chart, it digs up the original lie. Right? So like for me, I'm going through my foundation being uprooted because the foundation that I built was built on lies. The idea that like no one wants to support me. I have to take care of myself. Like I have no real family, blah, 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 because of the relationship with my mother and my sisters and stuff. And so everything I built as a result of that pain is now being uprooted so that I can rebuild from an honest, truthful place. I
think that's so cool, though.
That's really hard. But now the entire United States is going through that with our Pluto return.
Right. Which happened a couple months ago. Well, we're in it. We're in it now, yeah. But the shift just happened. Like
it started February.
Mm-hmm.
And so
was it the 22nd? February 22nd?
I don't remember the exact date, but it's the closing out and restarting of a 250-year cycle. Mm-hmm. Like no one has a Pluto return in their lifetime because we don't live that long. Mm-hmm. But to have a 250-year cycle close out, that's not like a Mercury retrograde. That's a big cycle. And so Pluto's going home and going, what the hell is all of this? This wasn't here when I left. And so it's just gutting all of it. And it's really fascinating to me to watch it from multiple levels. Like obviously it's happening in the second house of the economy. So you see it financially. You see like things are destabilizing big time, which that's just going to continue. We'll have our 3rd hit in December, and then it's just going to erode like an avalanche from there.
Lovely.
Right? And I don't know what that's going to look like. I just know how this aspect works.
Right.
But the other thing that's happening is it's changing because second house is Taurus, which is also values. So it's also forcing us as a nation to reassess our values. And I just think it's mind-blowing given the administration versus like SCOTUS right now. And I'm like, this is a legit, like us, them, like back and forth. And it's just fascinating to watch. And you see how SCOTUS is literally going through everything right now and going, not our circus, not our circus, not our circus, not our circus. And they're pulling back and they're like, this isn't ours, this isn't ours, this is the states, this is the states. And it's just mind-boggling to me to watch, given the administration that we have. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
This is so fascinating to watch unravel. Like everyone who thought that like we would have this massive demise with Biden getting in is now seeing the pendulum on the other side. Again, power struggle. What's Pluto? Manipulation, domination, control, power struggle. Mm-hmm. And we're watching these massive power struggles play out. And it's just so fascinating. And I always tell people, I'm like, with Pluto, you don't win because Pluto represents death.
Right.
Scorpio, Pluto, 8th house, death.
But there's transformation in that too.
No, 100%. Yeah. But you got to die first.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. the Phoenix will not rise.
The ego, the belief, whatever's on the table is going to get annihilated so that you can reassess and rebuild. And so we're watching the entire nation like go through this like control, manipulation, domination, power struggle so that we can get to that point. And I tell people all the time, when you're going through a Pluto transit, do not resist because Pluto's going to take your hands if you hold on too tight. You'll lose them. Just let go and just allow whatever needs to die off. I was going through a Pluto transit when my yoga practice died off. So, and if it wasn't the completion of a cycle, maybe I would have been more depressed, but I understood what was happening. Like I got that. I was like, wow, I never thought that one would go, but there it goes.
This one.
There it goes.
This is the
down
one.
The drain. It's gone. Okay. Like I didn't expect that. And you turn around and you're like, well, what's next? And that can be unnerving because we really align heavily with our identities, for better or for worse. We are so tied to them as though they're going to protect us. And then we go through a Pluto transit, and it gets stripped of this anyway.
You don't even know who the fuck you are.
Well,
Surprise.
and I tell young women this when I work with them. I'm like, you really just need to be adaptable and take care of yourself. Because even though I didn't get married and have kids, all my peers who did are now having the opposite crisis, right? Like, gee, I settled down young and did all of this because I wanted security, only to end up being cheated on or to wanting a divorce or whatever. And now they have to deal with that one issue that they were running from. Or like one of my girlfriends, she has a decent relationship with her husband and they love their kids and everything. But she's like, I don't know who I am. I wake up at 5 a.m. and I just rotate between children until I go to bed. She's like,
it's a huge one.
She's like, I just don't even know who I am. And it's killing me.
And that's so sad. I mean, I was that person for a while before I started doing the inner work. And it was just like, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, and I work. And that's it. Like, that was my identity until I was like, no, this sucks. I don't want to, this is not who I want to be. And then once I started doing the inner work, it seemed like I was being very selfish and all of this, but, finding who I am without, my husband and my children at the time. And, I do help women figure that out too, because there's a lot, it happens a lot.
Well, and, we have all these arguments about generations, but you got to understand, like, each generation is governed by different outer planets being in different signs. What the baby boomers went through collectively was their lesson, not ours. And what millennials are going through, I'm like, why did I choose to be a millennial? Why did I do this? Like, even my sisters they're older than me. They're like 5, 8, and 15 years older. They're Gen Xers, and they literally just skimmed by. They don't have the same issues that I do and that my brother would have had if he was still alive. Like, it's just insane to me how collectively each generation is also going to go through different things. And you really can't make that comparison. I mean, Pluto and Libra is the idealization of the relationship. You know what I mean? And how many millennials are like, if it's not perfect, I don't want it. Whereas like boomers don't have that same, way of dealing with relationships. They're more like, yeah, my husband tried to kill me, but like whatever. Exactly. It was a bad Sunday.
Right. Exactly.
It's like, what?
it happens. We just, we just won't talk to each other and just sleep in separate beds and then just, stay together for the kids.
So like you have the most like commitment phobic generation, and then the Gen Xers, which was like Virgo, which represents everything alternative healing, alternative music, alternative, like you name it. Right. And so they're just like, screw this. Like, let's test the divorces out. Let's just do it. Let's just get divorced. Like, this whole like death do us part thing. Meh, we're out. You know what I mean? Like every generation has its own. So to make those comparisons is a little bit silly, and I am very cardinal and I'm a 5 in numerology. So I tend to thrive on change. I know a lot of people don't. So I speak a lot about change and how to overcome it. People who are more fixed or like if you have a lot of fixed energy in your chart, you're not going to like change at all. You're going to be like, oh God, I'd rather shoot myself. You know what I mean? They're really slow to commit. And once they do, they're kind of in it for life. I'm so cardinal. And being a 5, like I'm hesitant to commit to anything. Really hesitant to commit, So again, knowing people's charts, knowing the astrology, just knowing all that really gives you such a great way to deal with a person, because then like where their strengths and weaknesses are and
how to approach them, how to have relationships with them. It helps a lot.
100%. And you look at someone's chart and everyone like who is new to astrology thinks, oh, well, I'm an Aries or I'm a Virgo and that means blah, 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 blah. No, the sun just is your expression, your outer expression and what you identify with, whereas the moon regulates you at your core. And so like when it comes to relationships, you want to know someone's moon sign because that's going to tell you like their fight or flight. That's going to tell you how they find security, their day-to-day rhythms, if they're good to live with or not. Like that's where you look. So again, having all that insight is really nice.
Yeah, like learning about all of that made such a huge difference. And I'm still learning. I learned so much from you, but it made so much sense. And like yesterday it was crazy because I was just talking to somebody and he's like telling me, no, because if things aren't like this or whatever, and I was like quickly able to, I'm like, is your Venus in Taurus? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, it makes so much sense, you know. So it's like really cool once you're able to start like realizing these things, and also how to approach certain people, and also like who you know you're gonna be able to vibe with and not. That's a big one for me too.
Yeah, totally. And for me, astrology just helped me to take the pressure off of expectations. Like if you understand why you do what you do, there's less judgment. You're like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah, for sure. I went through that. I'm like, okay, so this is why I do this. This makes a lot of sense, but it's also like using it for the shadow work, right? Like these are the things that, yes, they're in my chart, but this is how I could work on dealing with it. So it's not affecting me like it used to, right? So that's
totally.
Really cool.
I mean, I'm a 10th house Aries sun, and so I've worked overtime. It's ironic because my ascendant is in Cancer. So the ascendant is kind of how you come off to people. But see, my 10th house Aries sun kind of dominates my chart so much. So people do see the Aries when they meet me. They're like, oh my God, what a bitch. Like, and I get noticed. Like the 10th house is the highest point in the chart. And to have your sun conjunct that point, it's just putting a spotlight on you everywhere you go. So I can't not be noticed. And so I've had to work really hard. Like as much as I want to hide Cancer, I can't, because that sun's always just following me. And yeah, I've had to work really hard on some of my Aryan traits, you know, because we really are just brash, and, you know, we can be bullies, and we're leaders and we're trailblazers, but at the same time, we don't give a fuck. And so like,
girlfriend, my moon is Aries.
Yeah, no. So it's like, I have to like wrangle that in sometimes. And I forget how much my public persona can overshadow.
Yeah. It was a lot of learning, and it's crazy because my ex-husband's in Aries, but his ascendant is Gemini, and then his moon is in Cancer. And every time I would read something about Aries, because I had no idea, I'm like, this is not him. This doesn't sound anything like him. So then when I learned about the ascendant and the moon, I'm like, oh, this makes perfect sense. But every time I would read something about Aries, I'm like, that sounds more like me. And I'm thinking, I'm a Scorpio. And I didn't know anything about anything else. And I'm like, wow, that makes so much sense. So imagine like me with a double Scorpio with an Aries moon. Like there's a lot of calming that I needed to do. It's very intense around these walls and these places.
No, totally. And yeah, you can look at someone's chart, and if their sun is not well aspected, they won't have a lot of traits of their sun. If there's a lot blocking that, yeah, it won't matter. So you want to look at kind of the energy that's the most prominent. The other thing that I think is pretty prominent is my moon. You know, it's all by itself over in the 11th house in Taurus. And I'm so unyielding at times. Like, just, I want my way. I mean, again, we were talking about before the podcast, like the situation with Costa Rica and $2,100 for insurance on a $500 rental car. It's like, I will persist and persist and persist until I get my way. I do not take no for an answer.
And you got your way.
I do not take no for an answer. Like, And that's the Taurus side of me, you know, but it's affecting, Taurus is also naturally security because it's second house. So it's like a double need for security, but it's finances, it's luxury, it's all things beautiful. My body dysmorphia. I'm like always looking for that Venus perfection, you know? It's like, that's how I feel secure. I need to be pretty, you know? Like otherwise I just feel so out of sorts. But
yeah, instead of beating your ass about it, like this is, you know, how I am, right? You embrace it. You're like, yes, this is how I am because this explains it and it's fine. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and Chiron is going to hit that moon next year and I'm like, oh God. Be kind, please. Be kind.
That wounded healer, man. That'll get you for sure, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. So always changing. That's all I know. Things are always changing and adapting, and so that's what I do best. I help people to learn how to adapt.
Yes, you did. You helped me. We met, like I said, through the yoga community. I took one of your workshops, and then I just started. We became friends on Facebook, and I really liked not just the things that you posted, but just how connected I felt to you. Like I felt you were real. And then after some time, us talking, I was opening up my business, and I wanted to hire you for the business aspect of my,
and then COVID happened.
Of my career. Yes. And then COVID happened, like literally 2 months, like right when we were starting. And I'm like, well, I guess let's just do whatever is gonna
right happen, I know. Right? I told all my clients, I was like, if you want to pause, I will let you pause, like, because I've never been through anything like this before.
I'm like, we're not pausing. Let's see what happens. And honestly, like what came from it was so great. That's during that time is when your book was already out. I had read your book, and I want to get into your book too, because your book is so incredible, and just getting to know a little bit more about you. I felt like I want to work with Paige, and through that. It was like my second to last call with you. Then I hung up the call and I walked downstairs, and I just looked at my husband, and he just knew. I'm like, yeah, there's no running from this. Like we have to separate. Like this is not gonna, and it was just like perfect timing, everything that was going on astrologically for me too. You literally gave me like the date, like, okay, let's see what happens on this date. I'm like, damn you, Paige.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, you had Uranus on your Venus or something. And it was like, you're going to be questioning those values in a very radical way. You're going to be like, I'm done. I'm just done. Because with Uranus, there's no attachment. You're just in or out.
Yeah.
And there's no strings attached to it. You're just whatever.
Yeah. So that was really life-changing for me. And just reading your book. So let's talk a little bit about like, what inspired you to write it, and a little bit of the values and everything that went into it, that you help people bring that.
So I had always wanted to be an author. But of course, when you're like a teenager, what do you have to say? Mm-hmm. I didn't have anything to say for a while. You know what I mean? So, but that was a goal. And I'm trying to remember back at the time, I had felt pretty balanced in my career as a coach, and I had been using my coaching to practice the principles that I had been using my entire life. And so I was getting that real-time feedback, and I used that from my book. And so a lot of it's really intuitive. Like the comments people would make over and over again became just so predictable. And so I incorporated those things. Like, I know right now you're thinking blank. Like, I added that into the book at times because people think we're so unique. I'm so special. My pain is so special. Oh, no, you don't understand. It's different for me. No, it's not. Like, you're the rule. You're not the exception. Your brain's telling you you're the exception, but you're not the exception. And so I really wanted to create something that gave people that sense of like, oh, I'm not that special, and not in a bad way. I'm just not that special. Like, therefore, if I'm not that different or that weird, there's a way to undo this too. Because when we think we're the exception to the rule, we think that we're screwed.
Yeah, hopeless.
Like, yeah.
You can't do anything. And I actually had this conversation recently at my last retreat when we're talking about pain, because some people are like, no, but I don't have trauma that bad, or I don't have pain that bad, or they don't know what it feels like. And I broke it down to them exactly the same way. I'm like, you're not any more special than anyone else. Pain is like a feeling, right? The majority, like how you feel it in your body, could be exactly the same way someone else feels it, where you look at their situation like, oh, they just lost their dog. I lost my entire family. But they could feel the pain exactly the same way, right? So you're not more special or more like, allowed to feel a certain way because your tragedy seems bigger or your pain seems greater than someone else. You don't know how that person is receiving whatever it is that's happening to them.
Oh, 100%. We never know what someone is really experiencing internally. And I'm not a therapist, but I've had 17 years of therapy. I like therapy. I think it's a great sounding board. And one thing I've learned just through one of my therapists, like, because she would really help me understand patterns in people. Because I'd be like, I'm dealing with this. She'd be like, oh, that person obviously disassociates. And she would explain what that meant to me. So I got an amazing education from her. And that's the other thing. Like, people have different coping mechanisms. And they're not all the same. And yet we judge people. Like, codependents are some of the most annoying motherfuckers on the planet as far as I'm concerned. They're just as annoying as narcissists sometimes. I was talking to my girlfriend, and because I went to Colombia recently with this man who really likes me. He flew in from Panama. I flew in from Florida. We had a few days. And like, I like him, but I don't know him.
Right.
He really likes me. And, I just made the comment. I said, I've been through just too much with men to make it a priority to date. I'm not against a connection. It's just not a priority. And when I told her that, she goes, wow, I would have really taken that as a hint that, like, you're not interested. And I said, of course you would. You're a fucking codependent. You're going to make everything about you. Mm-hmm. And you're going to cater your words to make sure they hear it how you think they should, to make sure that you feel comfortable. I'm not a codependent, dear. And my past has nothing to do with him. So why would he make it about himself? Maybe he does. And maybe he does internalize that. But again, my past has nothing to do with him.
Right.
So the fact that you would even take that comment and make it about you, when, in this particular scenario, I've hung out with him all 4 times. If you go far enough on the codependent spectrum, you end up narcissistic again. Like, why is it about you? It's not. Stop framing it that way, so that way you can figure out how to manipulate your circumstances to feel safe. Like, correct. Stop doing that. It takes a lot of courage, to be honest. People don't want to be honest.
I know.
They don't want to be honest.
We had this conversation a couple of weeks. Nobody wants to have tough conversations. Nobody wants to be vulnerable. Nobody wants to, like, be honest and just say, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. And I'm thinking about that too. Like, once I just thinking about dating, and it's just, when people, because I've done it in the past too, where you project this highlight reel, mm-hmm. right? It's like, that's not really like who you are. But I'm in the point in my life where, like, on the first date, I'm going to let you know how shit goes, because I'm not wasting my time, right? These are, and that's the way it should be. But honestly, like, I wasn't in a place where I could be this person, right? Like, ever since my divorce, I have been, because I did a lot of the work. But like, prior to, like, my marriage, or even in the beginning of my marriage, it's like, you're getting this, like, fake person, like, that's not, like, and it's not intentional. We're just showing, like, our best selves. Not that it's necessarily, like, 100%, like, not real.
I'm never showing my best self, but ever.
No, I'm showing you the worst, because if you could get through this shit, like, we could make something happen. Right? Yeah,
and I could tell he was getting impatient with me. Like, I'm not just enjoying this romance. Motherfucker, I don't know you.
Mm-hmm. I don't owe you anything.
I don't know you. Like, let's get to know each other. Like, right. Like, the best romances that I've had kind of grew into that.
Yes.
They just grew into that. And a lot of them I knew for a long time. Like, I'm not that person. And I understand too much psychologically to be like, let's have an amazing fling and then see where it falls. No, I'm good. Let's be friends and see if we actually are interested in the same things. Yeah.
Let's see if I like you.
Let's see if we actually have good flow. Mm-hmm. Because if we don't...
Which also, like, brings up the whole topic about having chemistry, which to me is like, oh, we don't have chemistry, or we have such great chemistry. And it's just like, what does that even mean?
Oh, I know, right?
What does that even mean?
So I was telling my coworkers this weekend, because they were like, did you guys do it? And I'm like, no. No, because Paige doesn't put out. Mm-hmm. There's like a big joke if you know Paige, like, she doesn't put out. Like, I've had guy friends say to me, does anyone ever get to first base with you? Well, eventually, but like, so they were asking me that. And I was telling them, I said, I've had guy friends pursue me for years. And I brought up Olivier. And Olivier literally pursued me hard for 5 years. And I just didn't want to go there. French Algerian from the yoga community, beautiful man. Not American, born in Australia, but I just was like, no, I didn't want to give him the time of day. Mm-hmm. And so then finally I got tired. Like he wore me down after 5 years. So I was like, okay, fine, let's do this. And my coworker's like, well, was it good? I go, well, of course it was. I hated him. Like we had chemistry. Like I fucking hated the guy. Like,
yeah, doesn't mean that it's for you. Okay, you could have chemistry with.
But that's just my point. It was polarizing. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean it's healthy.
And a lot of people confuse like chemistry with like trauma bonds, right?
Oh, totally.
So it's like this feels so chaotic and exciting or whatever. And it's like you're fucking triggering your childhood wounds. Like this person is not good for you, right? But they 100%. Think it's chemistry and it's really not. It's like run.
Well, even the guy I was dating in Costa Rica who was phenomenal. And he was my my surf instructor. And was just determined to be with me. And he's like, be my novia, please. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'm only here for 2 months, but okay, fine. I'll be your Costa Rican girlfriend. But he would do a lot of that push-pull, and he would create a problem and then and I said, I can't do this. Like, this is exhausting. Like, you're really taking out old pain on me. And I didn't do anything to create it. And I'm tired.
Yeah, this is not what we're doing.
And I don't want to do that. Let's break up so we can make up. No. And I told him, I said, I need consistency to feel safe. And you're not making me feel safe. Like once you really heal, what draws you into connecting with someone is going to change.
Right. And consistency is a huge one because it is for me too. The minute you're inconsistent, that's it. Like I feel that wall coming up and that's it. Shit changes for me. And then I just don't like you anymore.
Well, and I've grown enough to where it's like, I don't take it personally. I can see that they're acting out on their pain.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like I see it for what it is, but it doesn't make me want to lean in.
Yeah, you don't want to deal with it. Yeah, 100%. That's the thing with us being coaches. Like being a coach is like you could read people so well and you understand and you could be empathetic, but that does not mean that just because I understand that I want to deal with it, I want no part of this.
Oh, totally.
Right? I don't want no part of this.
Totally. I was like, how many times do you need to get drunk for me to be like, this is not working?
Right. Yeah, no. No.
Like, you want to romanticize this whole thing and your pain, but all your pain is doing is pushing me away. Right? So, like, in regard to relationships, if the other person's not willing to show up and lean into their own discomfort on a regular basis, it's a problem. And I think this is why I'm single most of the time, because I don't have I want to say the stamina or the energy, but I don't have the interest. It will wear you down. It'll just create distance. Then the connection just dies. So, 30-year-old Paige who fell for that shit, like, let me just fix it. It's now like, you made that mess, clean it up. Don't call me crying. Yeah, like, no. You did that. I don't know why you're, like, blowing up my phone. I'm going to block that contact for 24 hours because, like, I'm just going to bed. Yeah, it's a little ridiculous, right? And then you just look like you're so uncaring.
You're just so fucking tired of the bullshit, though, you don't have the capacity to entertain it whatsoever. I get it.
Yeah, and so, like, when someone like Jack from Panama is, like, so disenchanted with the fact that I'm, like, not just starving for a relationship, I'm like, I'm not unhappy by myself. Me and Charlie and TikTok, like, it's not a problem. It's not a problem, like, and getting involved recently with men has only just kind of shown me, like, oh yeah, I'm not really missing out. It's fine. And again, I'm not opposed to a good connection, but if you're not carrying your own baggage, do not ask me to pick up one of your bags. I got my own burdens, my own history, my own stuff to carry. Don't act like it's not there either.
Right. That's another thing. My God.
like
we all got shit. Like, because what happens is that they pretend it's not there and then it shows up because it's always going to show up. And now I'm like, okay, so now we have to deal with this shit too.
Totally. And I had posted this. I don't know if you saw it, but I had an experience with another Costa Rican man, and he was just so determined to not be read. And yet I was constantly calling him out, which he just couldn't stand. And I said, the more you try not to be seen, the easier you are to read. It's kind of like that law of resistance, non-resistance, and transparency. Like if you're trying to hide something, empaths like me are picking up on the fact that you're hiding something,
right?
Not what you want me to see. Right? So when you become transparent, those things don't become so obvious. So that's annoying. It's like, I see that. I see what you're trying to hide. Like I see all of it. Yeah. And that's a turnoff, dealing with someone's ego projections all day long. Well, that's one thing, like working back in, like I work at a day club. So like dealing with people sometimes, they you can tell they want their egos fed, and I just want a good tip. So I'm like, yeah, totally. Gotcha. It's there. I'll bet that was an amazing deal that you closed. Yeah, okay.
That was great. Yeah. Awesome.
Don't try to socialize with me after work, because then I'm going to have to actually get real with you. So have a nice night.
I'm going to call you out on all your shit.
Yeah. So even Jack was like, how can you work in that environment and not be more open? Because I told him, I was like, I'm shy. I'm not trying to get with anybody. And he was kind of shocked by that. And I was like, that's a persona. That's like an alter ego that I wear. Like I literally clock in and I turn into an extrovert who gives a shit about who you are.
Yeah. Which is good to have, because I've had my moments like that, you know, when I'm working at my place and I have to be extroverted, even though like I am extroverted, but like extra, there's some days that I'm just like, there was this one time that I just wanted to stay in the back in the office. And it's just like, everyone's asking for me. And I'm like, okay, it's like a mask you have to put on just because this is your job right now. And I'm like, okay, we could do this. So like having that alter ego, like, okay, this is Romy. Come on, let's bring it out there. Come on, let's do this. It helps. It helps for sure, because you got to get the job done.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I wish I could say I was authentic 1,000% of the time, but you know, every once in a while, you know, you want to get out of a speeding ticket. So it is what it is.
Right. Right. As long as you have your core values and you're not fake when it comes to that shit, like.
Yeah. I mean, people get really frustrated with authentic people. And I've had this conversation with my mentor, Kevin, and he's like, why do people struggle with us so much? I said, because they can't manipulate us. Mm-hmm. We're only a threat because we can't be manipulated.
That's true.
And that's scary to people. That's why.
And also, I feel like it's because they're projecting some shit and it's not real.
And
right?
they know.
And then you could literally say, I'm this fucking hot mess. And people are like, oh my God, like that's relatable, and worship you for it. Right. And then while they're over here trying to make it seem like they're this perfect fucking person, and people are seeing right through the fucking bullshit. Mm-hmm. Right. So they have an issue because of that too.
Well, and I think if there's one thing that this collective shitstorm is doing to people, is it's really forcing people into a corner because we're not able to hold on to our identities. And I've seen it financially, religiously, emotionally, you know, on so many levels, where it's like the paradigms that we held on to for our safety and security psychologically are being shattered. And we have to kind of like reorganize who we are now around that.
Yeah, and a lot of people are like opening up and like changing their minds about a lot of things. Like beliefs are being completely shattered and completely changed. Right? Mm-hmm. People are like waking up, and it's just, it happened to me. Even in the last 2 years, like things that I thought that I wanted, that, you know, I was like gung-ho, like this is how I am, right? Has changed. And I don't feel like I was being 100% authentic at that time, because that's what I believed, right? Mm-hmm. So that's like one thing I do want to say, that you're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to wake up one day and be like, okay, my beliefs yesterday are not feeling like the same as today. I'm not in alignment. Like what has changed? And kind of like look at it and see, okay, so maybe I don't want these things. Maybe I'm not this person. And then in that moment, make those changes, do whatever healing work you need to do, and then be authentic in that space that you're in, right? As much, because that's what evolving is, right? Some people are like, oh no, but you said you were X, Y, and Z, and now you're doing this. Yeah, but I have an open mind. I could change my mind.
Sure. And my business is called the Dharmic Path. You know, everyone kind of thinks they have an understanding of karma, which is essentially just experiencing reality according to your own beliefs. That's really what karma is. I mean, it's law of attraction in action. That's it. Dharma is a little bit deeper. Dharma says, if I lean in to what my, and I'm going to take it a step further than even the Buddhists, I think Dharma is essentially like, we all here to heal certain things. And so when you're on your dharmic path, you're on your healing path, right? You might think that like X, Y, and Z are going to make you happy, but then if you really surrender to what needs to heal, you'll find the experiences that you're supposed to have to validate the healing, right? Not the ego, but the soul's healing, which is different. And so there's going to be change with that and evolution with that. And so when people try to stigmatize you based on who you were 2 days ago or even 2 years ago, it's because they don't give themselves permission to shift and heal and change. You know what I mean? But it has nothing to do with you, you know, like here I am, I've come full circle. I'm like, damn, I built this empire and now I don't even want to maintain it. Like, okay, you know, and I'm having more fun on the weekends. I look forward to going to work. I get to socialize with my coworkers and they're all 20 something. And it's just, I never would have thought that would happen. But yet in terms of what I need at this point in my course, that's where I'm at. I have to give space to let go of the old. And so in that process, I got to do something with myself. But people are so caught up in like, my purpose is this, as though it's an absolute. Purpose can change.
Yeah. It happens. It's happened to me. And like, you know, I really, since I was like 19 years old, I wanted to be a personal trainer. And it was just like this fitness thing. And I loved it. And I freaking studied for my NASM and I passed it on the first go, like in 30 minutes, which was like a huge achievement for me. And I'm like, yes, you know, super happy. And then after a year, I'm like, I don't want to do this shit anymore. Like, like you cannot pay me. I have people that are like, Romy, but can you like just train me? And I'm like, no, I don't want to train you anymore. And then it happened like with my yoga privates. Like I don't have like yoga privates that I take on that is like, you know, several times a week. Like if you want a yoga private with me, like with the sound healing, like I do that. I only have one client because she's the grandfathered and I've been with her for over 2 years. She's like a mom to me and I love her so much. She's like the only person that I do that for. But anyone else, they can't pay me enough for me to go and see them 3 times a week to give them a yoga private. Like it just can't happen. And it's just things that you think that you want, right? Now are completely different. When we were working together, I told you, I don't want to work with men, right? And remember that? I was like, I don't want to work with men. I don't know. I just don't want to. Now I have like a couple of clients that are men and I love them so much and the progress and how well we work together. It's a beautiful thing. And like, we could change our minds and it's okay.
Yeah. I don't know where that comes from, but it's like as though we have to pick a course at some point and just stick to it as an absolute. And this is retarded because the other thing is constant accept change.
Right. Yeah. I'm completely open. If the day, like tomorrow comes and I'm doing something completely different, whatever, I'm going to lean into it and see.
Well, and I tell people that, like even when I was talking to Jack, you know, because I've been an entrepreneur and what do we do best? We adapt and fill niches in the marketplace. That's what we do. And I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore though. I'm tired. And he's like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, I kind of just want to be someone's wife and have a baby. Like I want to do something so radically different at this point. So radically different, you know, and I'd like to be able to work by choice, not because I need to. Like me needing to work puts me in a role I don't want to play anymore. I'm just going to call that what it is. I have to show up and be a person that I don't necessarily want to be. That could change in 10 years.
Right.
But right now, that's how I feel. I'm not going to lie about that.
Which is awesome. Like I think
he was a little disenchanted too. Like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Like, I really like this independent woman, and yet she's just like, can you get the bill? Thanks. You know, like no, and I'm perfectly okay owning up to that because I was running from that as though it was like a deficit my whole life. only to find out that I do need people.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't it insane? Yes. I know.
I'm like, I'm so terrified to admit that. Like, I want to cry saying that. Like, shit, I need people. Like, Pluto took me on this horrible joyride just so that I could admit that out loud. You can't do it all on your own, Paige. Just repeat after me. I need people. Like, seriously.
Yeah, I've been there where I'm like, so like everything I need to do on my own. I don't need anybody, whatever. And then the minute I made that shift, like, I'll allow people to help me.
Well, and I even admit that to him.
It changed so much. So many things changed after that. Because it was even to the point that when I was married, I wouldn't even let him like wash clothes because he didn't wash correctly, right? Or put it away, which is like, it was a control thing.
Or even willing to like be in the same space as a man. Mm-hmm. Like I told Jack, I said, the only man that I have ever allowed to take care of me is my father. A quadruple Scorpio. Wow. The only man I've ever let take care of me. I go, so I don't take relationships casually. Like, if I get married, that man's going to have to earn the right to take care of me. It's not just me being lazy and saying, I don't want to pull my weight. No. It's a huge, huge vulnerability for me to be like, I'm going to let you take the wheel.
Which is super scary for you.
Like, terrifying for me.
Which is huge. Yeah.
So I've never given myself permission to have that experience. And now I'm like, I'm so burnt out.
I cringe thinking about it too. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cringe just thinking about that. But yeah, I feel you on that one.
Yeah, because Moon and Taurus, security, money, like structure. Taurus is as earthly as you get. You want to take care of all those things? Like, my moon's not in Gemini where we can just like bounce around all the time and figure it out along the way. No. Well, that guy Olivier, because his birthday was 2 days after me. So his moon was in Gemini. And he tried to convince me how in love he was with me. And I was like, motherfucker, you have a moon in Gemini. You got a girlfriend on every continent. I know you do. And you're feeling the same thing to them. So let's just call this what it is.
Yeah, and they're really great sweet talkers. So
yeah, they're communicators. 100%. So yeah, I mean, I'm at that stage in the game where I'm really being even more honest with myself than I think I've ever been.
It's liberating. It's completely liberating to live your life that way.
Yeah. And so, I feel like I'm kind of letting things show me what's meant to stick and stay and kind of go from there. But I know that on a deeper level, on a core level, that like where I've been and what I've created and built wasn't based in truth. I was running from this exact place.
And isn't it crazy how many people you pissed off once the truth started coming out and you're just like, this bullshit, I don't resonate with this. And people took it offense, like if you were like coming after them.
I had one client, he's a libertarian like me. And I was like, masks? Oh, this is not going to be 6 weeks. Are you fucking kidding me? This will be permanent once they do it. And Bart was like, oh, no. I don't think so. It'll be fine. And then he said to me, he's like, you were the only one to be like, they're going to force this permanently. And you were right. This is before it finally lifted in Vegas. And he was like, I really was like, oh, it'll be fine. It'll be temporary. And day one, you were saying, no. Yeah, because people like patterns are easy to predict. Something, a behavior unchanged, it's not hard to predict the outcome.
Right. Because it's the pattern.
It's not hard to predict the outcome, but people are so afraid of being controversial which is a codependent thing. Like most people are actually codependent.
And you have no problem with that whatsoever.
Every once in a while I find myself not wanting to ruffle feathers, but like, it's
I'm going to
rare.
say it anyway.
I'm going to just leave this right here and hope that like things don't blow up.
Honestly, like I go on your post and I'm just like super entertained sometimes because people really swear, like they just come on here, and I've sent you memes about this, like people come to your page just to like say some stupid shit, and then
I've weeded out a lot of them. I'm just tired. Like I don't even respond. I'm just like delete comment and delete person. Like that's how tired I am. But yeah, some people really just, or they'll take one thread and they'll turn it into something else. And I'm like, the post is about this. Come back.
Yeah. I think it's because you're like shining a light on something within them that they are not looking at themselves. Right. So it's kind of like, oh, well, if she says that, then it's going to make me look like I'm this type of person because X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. And I mean, even with like the latest ruling, like I'm a libertarian. I'm pro-choice with everything. And everyone's up in arms. And I'm like, you wanted less government interference. You got your way. I'm so confused. You wanted less government interference, and that's exactly what you got. Not the way you wanted, but essentially you got what you wanted. You didn't want the government to interfere. And they're saying, we're out. I'm so confused. I'm so confused. Like, okay, if you don't like the way your state handles things, I understand. But like, I moved from Nevada because I don't like the way things are being handled there. So, I mean, people just, and it's like you could remove the moral argument and just look at what happened. And it's like, you didn't want them in your uterus. Okay, they're out. So why are you mad? And then I think about, it's probably the same group that was like wanting the jab and wanting the mask and wanting all of these things forced. And I'm like, y'all just please pick a lane. Just pick a lane. You know, like I just, you know, you live your life the way you want to, and I'll live my life the way I want to, and we'll just want to not bug each other.
Exactly.
No?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I legit don't care. You want to do that to yourself? Go for it. I really don't care. Like that's your life, your choice, your consequences, your results. I don't understand the interference. And now that they're not interfering, people are so mad. I'm just like,
I think it's also because they're not understanding. You know, they just think that it's just what is said and what is done without realizing it goes back to the states, and then the states have to make the decision of what it is they want to do. Right now, like you said, like if you don't like how your state handles it, maybe move.
Yeah, they had no problem telling everyone who lost their jobs over the jab to move. Anyway, but yeah, so I can be pretty controversial just because I don't have a problem.
But that's fine. Like everybody has their own thoughts, their own ideas, their own, you know, opinions. And I think you mentioned this in your book, like when you are so avoidant of like, okay, so this person isn't, I keep going to vegan because it's just like so easy to like go to, but this person isn't vegan, so I'm not going to go and hang around with them because they're eating a steak.
Right, because their way of living doesn't validate my choice.
Right.
And I'm not secure enough in my own choice. I need those around me to validate my choice.
Which is not realistic.
No.
At all.
No. And I mean, like, the right, it can be just as annoying. Like, all of a sudden they think babies are going to be saved. No, people are still going to do what they're going to do.
Exactly. This only, like, let's say that it does become, like, this whole, you can't have any abortions, whatever. It's only, like, getting rid of safe abortions. People are still going to get them. Right.
And I looked at there's only like, I think 3 states currently on the books that are absolute no's. It's like such a minor amount. It's like, have you looked at the fine print? No? No? Okay. Like, you know, as someone who holds a CCW, you got to look at the fine print, you know, like you got to know your laws before you carry. And, I still have to look at the Florida laws completely. I haven't, you know, Nevada has some really interesting laws around that. And you got to know those things if you're going to step into that world. And if you're going to have a strong opinion, you might want to know the fine print.
Which a lot of people don't.
No, they don't do the research.
You know, like, for example, like they were calling this bill the Don't Say Gay bill. Like there's nowhere on the bill that it says that you can't say gay. It's pretty much just, we don't need to be talking about sexuality to children. Like my mom's gay. I grew up in a household where, you know, I've dated women. So it's like, I still don't want my kids learning about sex. It's that I didn't know who my teachers' husbands or families or anything was when I was in elementary. Like,
Well,
why do we need to know this? We don't need to know like who you sleep with or what your thoughts and beliefs are like at such a young age.
Right. I mean, I don't know why the children have become. Well, actually, I do know, but
that's a whole
other thing. Yeah, but like keep kids out of it, you know. And like California, ironically, it's really weird. Their laws, like California, will strip you of parental rights if you don't want to call your child, like if they decide they want to be, you know, Jane instead of, you know, Joe. If you don't abide by that, they can take your child away from you. But you can. There's a bill on the table right now that says you can kill your child after they're born up to 28 days. And I'm like, I don't understand your logic.
I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, it's on the table right now. Like you can up to 28 days after birth. And I'm like,
that's insane. With the people that have like postpartum depression and everything, like that's murder.
I know.
And that's okay.
I'm like, but still, like, really, California? Like, do you want parents to have rights or not? Like, you'll let the birth mother kill the baby. Like at some point, like they'll just probably keep pushing the boundary, but you'll take them away if they don't abide by what a 10-year-old wants. Like, make up your mind. Like, again, are we protecting or are we not? And like, I'm so confused at this point. And I just feel so bad for parents who have kids right now because they're the ones ultimately who have to deal with it in the home. Yeah. It's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I have 2 kids and, you know, I had to have certain conversations with my almost 12-year-old, right? And he's just like, he's very much like me. Like I ask him like certain questions and he's like, Mom, like, why are you asking me this? Like common sense, right? I'm like, because this is the world that we live in. We need to talk about these things, right? And then he's like so shocked. Yeah, it's just, I feel like we're living like in the upside down. Stranger Things, like we're living in the upside down. Like so many things are just so weird.
Well, and, you know, again, I watch, I'm an observer, so I watch the spectrum, you know, from one end to the other. And I listen to the religious people who are just clinging to these ideals. And it's like, I don't know, maybe our earthly experience was just more suffering. Like maybe, you know, you all believed that it's Satan's paradise. But then when bad things happen, you're like horrified. Like, well, you probably on some karmic level, if that's your belief system, signed up to exist in Satan's paradise, right? Like, so
yeah.
Why are you so, I don't know. Yeah. I'm not a religious person, but anyway, I think that we're here to have a human experience at the minimum. That's all I know for sure.
Right.
And what comes with that probably will be a lot of things we don't like.
Yes.
That's all I know for sure. You know, anything beyond that, like, don't quote me.
It's like a lot of adjusting and a lot of just, okay, so this is what we're doing today. This is what we're learning. This is what they're normalizing. Okay, so how do we not go there? Like, how can I live my life without letting this affect me?
I mean, I don't know if you just tune it out. I mean, resistance
I turn off the TV. I never watch the news. That helps me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't even have cable. So resistance is never really the answer because you don't want to be naive, right? Like I think Jordan Peterson talks about that really astutely. You know, it's like you don't want to be naive because then you become a target. And so there's a balance between kind of having an awareness of what's going on, but not playing into it,
yeah,
right?
That's where I'm at.
And so, you know, I find myself not being highly reactive anymore. I'm just like, what else is new? And I don't know that I'm numb or if I'm just not wasting my energy on things that I can't control. I don't even know the difference in myself sometimes, but it's like, I'm not going to play into that. I'm not going to entertain that.
Yeah, I could see it because it's like people are getting so riled up and they're just getting so angry and it's all that they talk about. And it creates so much more separation and division.
But you got to ask yourself, like, you know, and again, as a coach, we get down to really core things. Like, what is on your plate as far as like what you can control? Okay, so you can go to your congressman and your senator and you can go to your governor. Like, you can do the local thing. Like, you can do certain things, but like beyond that, you can't even control your own thoughts. So why are you trying to control other people?
Right.
And this is not a topic of morality. This is a topic of like energy preservation. Like, what can you control? Go there. Where can you make an impact? Go there. Right? So that becomes, you just kind of pull it back. Like, you see these big issues and it's like, well, screaming about them doesn't do anything except waste your energy.
Well, some people feel significant.
No,
because
totally.
that's as far as they could go, right? They can't really make any other changes, right? It makes them feel important. Like, I'm screaming and yelling about this, whatever that is.
And it's not a conscious thing to do either. It's like, I just want to throw a temper tantrum and get attention, so that I look special or I look like I'm doing good. But the reality is, like, you do more good by not participating in things that you don't want more of, right? So it's like, if I want there to be more kindness, then I actually make a greater impact energetically on this planet by just being kind to the people I interact with.
Yes.
Right? Like, that's where my circle of control is at. I can't control. I mean, I watch these kitten videos and I just want to die. And I'm just like, okay, I'm not in Turkey. Just keep scrolling. I'm not there. I can't save those kittens, right? But like, I can be kind to my cat. If you take it back to where you do have control, and of course it takes a certain degree of consciousness to be like, okay, how can I show up differently? Because not everyone's going to ask that question. But if you are willing to ask that question, then you have to be willing to look at the honest answers. And the truth is, like, when this whole thing happened, I was like, okay, how does this impact me? Oh, it doesn't. Okay, then I'm not going to, make a big deal out of it. It doesn't impact me. How did it impact me before? Oh, it didn't. It didn't. I mean, like, worst case scenario, like, if I got raped and needed to take the morning after pill, then I would jump on a plane and do that if I had to. Like, it doesn't really impact me. And the odds of that boiling down to where it would need to are so slim. So I'm just not going to make that my priority. I'm a little more concerned about inflation. I'm a little more concerned about, like, freedom of speech. I'm concerned about just things that actually do impact me on a daily basis, like my spending and costs of things. Like, and I know a lot of people really hate that are more socially oriented. They hate it when I say this, but the thing is, if you look at any country that has fallen apart, it was destabilized economically first. And so social issues always ride on top of economic issues.
Yes.
So if you get too distracted with social issues, your country could go down the tubes, but you were so busy fighting for women's rights, and you're like, well, shit, now I have no place to live. And so it's really important, to also focus on that hierarchy of, like, what is most important? Having food on the table or getting that abortion that may or may not happen ever in my life? I don't know. Like, for me, I want to make sure that I have a roof over my head and food to eat. Let's just... I'm totally able of being a target, absolutely, but the odds are not as high. Like, right now, I'm looking at my receipt from Publix, and I'm seeing that one a little bit more closely. But like, if you look at any country that has fell apart, it always started with economic destabilization. No one cares about social issues when they don't have food to eat. And so it's important to look at those things, well, and it's interesting, too, because we're going to finish up at the same time that Pluto return finishes up. We're finishing up Neptune opposed Neptune in the chart in the 3rd house of communication and the 9th house of publishing, which is really interesting because it's just media on steroids, just doing bullshit, because Neptune is veils, confusion, delusion, deceit, all that stuff. And so it's just been amplified. And that's finally, like, the fog is going to lift in the winter of next year. And it's going to be really interesting how many people see things for what they really are, because that'll be gone. That media manipulation that's been going on, that's so bad right now.
Well, it's already starting to show. Like, some people are already really realizing it, which is fucking great, because I'm over it.
Yeah, totally. So, like, we're just going to see more of that. And in fact, one of my friends, like, God bless her, she decided to initiate her divorce and a move during Neptune on her Mars. She doesn't have her last Mars hit until, like, the winter. I think January. And she's so convinced that, like, even though he gave her all the money from the sale of their house in California, that, like, she's just going to get off scot-free and be totally fine. Meanwhile, she went and bought a house in Florida, paid cash for it, but they're not divorced. And I'm like, Neptune's not off your Mars, honey. Yeah. Mars in the 7th house of partnerships, Mars men, Mars direction, action, and Neptune being veils. Because when Neptune moves off a point, all of a sudden you see things in the daylight and you're like, my neighborhood's not that nice. Like, you go to your hotel at night and then you wake up and you're like, That's what happens when Neptune leaves a point. You're like, oh, shit. Like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. So, yeah, the U.S. is going to go through that and finish that off January, February.
Of 2023. All right. You heard it here first.
Well, I'm at Pluto return, and I'll be honest, I'm nervous as well. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I chose to be here during this time in history, so I guess I'm just going to contend with whatever that is. Right. And it's not like I'm alone. Like, if I lose all of my resources as a result of this, it's not like I'm going to be the only person.
Right.
Like, whatever massive shift is happening,
it's going to happen to everyone.
Absolutely. And then Pluto's going to move into Aquarius in 2023. It's going to dip its toe in, and that's also going to be impactful. That happens in June of next year. It's going to be huge. Like, whenever Pluto changes a sign, it doesn't do it quietly. Right? And then 2025, Neptune goes into Aries. So we have all these outer planet changes happening. So, like, the status quo is absolutely going to shift. Like, absolutely. What that'll look like, I don't know, but it's changing. It's not going to be what it is right now. This top-heavy hierarchy of control, like top-down, that's changing. Aquarius is bottom-up, and then with Neptune leaving Pisces, like the last time Neptune was in Pisces was when we had the Civil War. That Jupiter conjunct Pisces we had back in April, that set off the Civil War. And Texas wants to secede. And it's like, yeah, I mean, like, I heard that video and the girl was so mad. And I'm like, that's kind of was already there. Like, it's very possible. And so, I guess one of the things to your answer to your question from earlier, I guess you could look at it less as like, how do I respond? And more of like an actual show. Like, just observe it for what it is so that you're not in it so much. But really, like, that's what I'm doing. I'm just like, wow, this is so fascinating, and just kind of matching it with the aspects and going, this is incredible. As an astrologer, it just makes it easier for me to understand certain things. But, like, it's incredible to watch some of it. And again, the power struggle, right? That agenda to try to soil children, it's terrifying, you know what I mean? But of course they are.
It's a lot. I mean, I know that the best thing that I could do is just, be the best mom I could be and show up for my kids the way that I feel is right to show up with them and have conversations, based on their level of maturity as well.
Well, and another thing that I predict as a result of all of this, because if you look at every generation, they rebel against the previous generation. Mm-hmm. That's normal. And so I suspect that all these kids are going to grow up and hate their parents for not protecting them. Like, there was a time when, like, my generation, like, stop protecting me. You're annoying me. Like, we wanted more independence. And I think this generation is going to grow up being really bitter that they weren't protected. Like, that's going to be like, right, they're rebelling right now. But you haven't seen anything yet. Like, with no boundaries, what do you rebel against?
Yeah.
No structure.
Yeah, I could see that.
And so I think that's what's going to ultimately happen is they're going to be very bitter that they didn't have more structure. And it's interesting too. So the children born during Pluto and Capricorn, I predict, because they started being born in 2008, and then Pluto officially goes into Aquarius in 2024. I predict that these children are actually going to be some of the most conservative people in a long-ass time, because Capricorn is the most conservative sign. It is all things traditional. And I don't think it's going to be conservative like our grandparents were conservative, but there's going to be a degree of structure that they implement that we have been destroying. yeah, again, so we're millennials. We have Pluto and Libra, and it's like, you're actually Pluto and Scorpio. So you're going to challenge more Plutonian things. Mine was Libra, which was all about, again, just like ideals. You were born during the HIV crisis. Pluto, Scorpio.
Makes total sense, of course. Represents the sexual organs and all that.
Yeah. So those ideals, like, and I look at my own generation, I'm like, we're so dumb. We're just so dumb. We're so caught up in like the perfect romantic relationship. I mean, look at how millennials celebrate like their gender reveals, and their weddings are so fucking over the top. Like, it doesn't get more Venus than the way a millennial shows off the way they're living their life. It is so ridiculous. Like, really? You had swans at your wedding. Okay. Yeah. So I think that the Pluto and Capricorn kids are going to be like, y'all are just dumb, and we need to like get this shit organized and build again and create something solid. So I think your kids, are they
2010 and 2018?
Yeah, so they're both Pluto and Capricorn. So it'll be interesting. I'm like, with my luck, I'll have a Pluto and Aquarius, and she'll just be like this eccentric weirdo that I got to contend with. Like, I'll have finally given up, and then I'll end up having a child, and she'll just be so eccentric. So, whatever. Aquarius is the most eccentric sign.
Yeah, they are. My mom's an Aquarius.
So, a moon in Aquarius. I think we had this discussion. Moon in Aquarius people, they'll actually like buy like a 1988 Toyota Tercel because they think it's
so
cool.
different. So different. They don't want to be the same.
How unique it is. That's a piece of shit. That's what you got.
But I love my Aquarius moons, man. Like, I love my Aquarius moons. I do. I love them.
And one of my girlfriends growing up has an Aquarius moon. Like, she's the epitome of an Aquarius moon. I'm like, oh my God, Melissa, did you really just do that? Okay. I thought I was weird.
Well, Paige, it's been a pleasure having you here today. I'm so grateful to have had you on here. So where can people find you?
My Instagram and website, Dharmic Path. That's a D as in dog, HARMIC, Dharmic Path. If you look that up, you'll find me. Again, thedharmicpath.com, leadinganintentionallife.com. That's my book. You could follow me on Facebook, but that's going to be a big old hot mess probably. I'm the most authentic on there. So, yeah.
Do follow her on Facebook. That's where I was following you. You woke me up. And
there's no continuity. It's like, it's everything random from every aspect of my life goes on there.
Well, thank you so much again for joining me today. And remember, guys, it's not always love and light.